Welcome to the weekend edition of National Focus. I'm Colette Ambo. Coming up, enhancement of the city of Roseau and the second town of Portsmouth to commence during the 2014-2015 fiscal year, and will bring you more comments from the 2014-2015 national budget. Stay tuned for these and other stories after this.
Did you know the Caribbean Court of Justice is two courts in one? The CCJ has two functions: an original jurisdiction, which deals with your right to move between CARICOM countries freely and your right to move your money and your business. This is the basis of the CARICOM Single Market and Economy, CSME, and the revised Treaty of Chaguaramas, and an appellate jurisdiction to hear appeals from courts of those countries which decide to use it as their final court of appeal and no longer go to the Privy Council. All CARICOM member states who have signed the agreement establishing the CCJ are members of the CCJ.
Thanks for staying with us. On Thursday afternoon, the House of Assembly voted in favor of a motion put forward by the Honorable Minister for Legal Affairs, Ian Douglas, for opposition Senator Danny Luge's suspension from parliamentary proceedings until the final disposal of the criminal charge which he currently faces in the court of law. The Honorable Minister told Parliament that Senator Luge should be suspended because of this reprehensible statement made at an opposition public meeting some time ago. Honorable Douglas said that there is a high level of decorum that members of the House of Assembly are expected to display.
As members of this Honorable House, there is a procedure by which we get to this Honorable House, Madam Speaker. It's not a wishy-washy process or procedure. We are expected to go before the people. The people in turn have certain expectations of us, not only in our behavior, Madam Speaker, but in our general utterances, both inside and outside this House, Madam Speaker. And so it is important for the House itself to regulate the behavior of its members. And we cannot allow, Madam Speaker, members to go about displaying despicable acts, both in their utterances and in their actions, with impunity. There must be a way, there must be a mechanism for checks and balances for members of this Honorable House to be exemplary in their behavior and in their utterances.
The motion tabled by the Honorable Legal Affairs Minister was seconded by the Honorable Minister for Social Services and Parliamentary Representative for the Wesley constituency, Gloria Shillingford. Honorable Shillingford supported the motion, stating that the highest order of the land should be respected and failure to comply should result in punitive measures.
When a public servant does something, Madam Speaker, the public servant is either put on half pay, some sort of punishment is meted out to that public servant. If this happens, why should we in this House, the highest order of the land, be able to say just what we want? Madam Speaker is not just saying like a little curse word. You are asking to put away people of Dominica, to put away a senior counsel, a person whom we scarcely hear in this land, except for when he has to a fine lawyer he is. So that is the time we hear him.
Senator Luge and other members of the opposition walked out of the Parliament building shortly after Honorable Shillingford supported the motion put forward by Minister Douglas. Also in support of the motion, the Honorable Minister for Agriculture and Parliamentary Representative for the Paybush constituency, Matthew Walter, said while government promotes freedom of speech, there is a line which must not be crossed.
We live in a democratic country. We have freedom of speech. The Constitution of this country gives us freedom of speech. But our freedom of speech is being limited by the laws that we put in place to protect the citizens of this country. And the UWP cannot willy-nilly say what they want where they want, without any kind of restriction and respect. And this is why, Madam Speaker, I'm here this afternoon to support this motion. That it is a bad precedent. It's a very, very bad precedent to allow members in Parliament to make utterances of that nature in public.
Meanwhile, Honorable Prime Minister Roosevelt Skerrit, who spoke in support of the motion, said it would be, quote, a fundamental historic error, end quote, on behalf of the House of Parliament if necessary action was not implemented.
I am satisfied, Madam Speaker, that the vast majority of Dominicans, and Madam Speaker, even people who support them, have said publicly and otherwise that there is no way anybody can condone the statements made by Senator Luce. And there's no explanation you can give. There's no justification you can give for such an outrageous, irresponsible, and dangerous statement. So I believe that it would have been a fundamental historic error on the part of this Parliament if we did not take, or we did not come here to take such an action to ensure that the integrity of the state of the Parliament is maintained and always remain intact.
The nation's leader concluded that his government will not allow citizens to feel threatened when walking the streets. Parliamentary representative for the Grand Bay constituency, Honorable Justin Charles, is impressed with Wednesday's budget presentation by the Honorable Prime Minister and Minister for Finance, Roosevelt Skerrit. In her presentation to Parliament on Thursday evening, the Grand Bay MP described the budget as people-friendly. She made particular reference to the relief to pensioners and people of pensionable age who do not have a pension.
I already have a few names of persons who were listening to the budget presentation and who have already been able to make the link between the programs that were offered. And I speak of the people who are 70 years and over, Madam Speaker, because, Madam Speaker, even before that was proposed in the House, I already had people coming to me with those requests. Persons who worked on the road, persons who worked in the farm, on the Geneva estate, you know, on all of those various areas, but were not or had not contributed enough to Social Security and probably just got a minimum added sum of money at the end of their employment or when they turn to 60. And so, Madam Speaker, I see quite a number of my constituents benefiting from that initiative.
Meantime, Parliamentary Representative for the Grand Fork constituency, Honorable Ivor Stevenson, says the budget will touch the lives of all nationals.
It's a budget that aims at touching the lives of everyone in this country. You're talking about from the poor, you're talking about from persons employed in various capacities, be it in the private sector or in the public sector. It's one I think will really relieve a number of persons who, within these very serious economic world crisis conditions, we know that things are tight, we know that persons experiencing difficulties, and they would have liked to see an increase in their salaries. But because of the measures that have been put in place in the budget, we expect a relief in terms of the income or the various measures that have been put in place. And it definitely will touch the lives of persons, both socially and economically.
In more news, Dominica's permanent representative to the United Nations, Ambassador Vince Henderson, has taken time to thank Dominicans for what he calls the opportunity to serve.
This to me has been a labor of love because I can connect what I'm doing in New York with the lives of people in Dominica, with the lives of people in the Caribbean, in the Pacific, in the Indian Ocean, in the coast of Africa. I could connect it. It is not academic, it is not abstract, it is real. And for me, that gives me great pleasure because I must admit after the first year of being in New York, I felt I was missing something. Because for me, it's not enough to go to a committee and discuss words and to vote on a resolution. It is not enough. what is important is that what we're doing must be connected to the lives of people, and that we can improve people's lives by the work we're doing.
Ambassador Henderson has been advocating for the island at the United Nations for the past 4 years. 30 juveniles began a FOTA journey from offending to achieving about 13 days ago under the theme, "We Can Make a Change." About 22 of these young men gathered at the social center on Tuesday morning to receive symbolic certificates marking the start of change in their lives. The summer program, which is a collaborative effort between the social center and the juvenile court, aimed at collectively motivating and inspiring juvenile males to travel a positive route in life. Permanent Secretary in the Ministry for Social Services, Esther Thomas, told the participants present that their attitude is a determining factor of how far they go in life.
Good attitude takes you higher heights. And so I want to encourage you to have good attitude in life. And that is what this project is all about. The Juvenile Justice Project, all of you sitting here are juveniles. And we recognize that you all are very important in the society. And we also recognize when you are juveniles, there are things that you require guidance to do. And not only guidance, but you also require persons you can count on, persons you can depend on. And so we are saying to you, this project is geared at saying to you, there are persons you can look up to for that guidance and for that direction that you require. And we are saying you can look to the right direction so that that right direction can give you good attitude to determine how far you get in life, how high you reach.
Magistrate Gloria Augustus, who sits on juvenile, domestic violence, child maintenance and traffic matters, advised the juveniles that education is key in helping them to achieve their goals.
Some of you may have a good mind, but it's not good enough to have a good mind. You have to use it. The main thing is to use it wisely, use that good mind for positive change. That good mind might need some education for it to be used wisely. The roots of education may seem bitter for some of you. It might not be able to give you bling and ting. I remember somebody telling a principal of a school, I don't need to come to school, because I'm making more money than you, right? But the future, the fruits of education will be sweet. I can tell you it will always be sweet. So in whatever form or fashion in terms of something positive, the fruits will be sweet. Some of you may remember me always asking you all to spell learn. Remember L-E-A-R-N? Right. I know you all remember that. The learn is the root, the education. The earn is the fruit. What you're going to get from that.
The program was sponsored by the OECS Juvenile Justice Reform Project. Other sponsors and facilitators included GIS Dominica Limited, UNICEF, CUSO International, Samaritan Feet, criminologist Ryan Bertrand, and Denison King Dice Joseph. Members of government continued to respond to the $489 million budget on Friday. Honorable Sam Martin, parliamentary representative for the Soufriere constituency, was especially impressed with the budget's consideration of hard-working people.
Part of it, Madam Speaker, where, if I may quote from the Prime Minister's address there, I propose, therefore, that effective 1st October 2014, all persons 70 years and over with no known source of income or whose income is less than $200 a month should be entitled to a cost living grant of $200 a month. But whereas some persons are covered under the Social Security, Madam Speaker, the minimum pension weekly now is $36.90 a week. So when you add $36.90 by 4, you may come up with something like maybe $147.60. And even when there is a 5-week month, about $184, so they're still falling below that 200. So if we do the maths, we can say, well, maybe 3/4 of Dominicans or the working people before will be qualified under that thing. So that is the impact of that $200 growth on the economy, Madam Speaker.
To Honorable Kelva Daru, the fact that government's social programs will continue despite the financial landscape is noteworthy.
A lot of times, there are individuals who take these things for granted. and who say, oh, the government must do it. But no. Because clearly, Madam Speaker, the Prime Minister has always said that he would prefer to put on hold any infrastructural program or project to ensure that we continue to have these social programs going.
To Honorable Kelva Daru, the fact that government's social programs will continue despite the financial landscape is noteworthy. Senator Alvin Bernard rose to voice his support and to comment on the performance of the Labour Party government over the past 4 years.
Labour ka travail. While others are loitering in an infested House of Parliament, during this term, no less than 30 pieces of legislation were enacted during this period. We enacted legislation to improve or to enhance business. We enacted legislation to have a more enabling environment. We enacted legislation for the modernization of the public service. We enacted legislation for the enhancement of the capacity of law enforcement in every aspect.
And finally, this news time, Maria Sylvia Joseph was officially welcomed to the centenarian community on Sunday 20th July 2014, being honored as La Plain's 4th living centenarian. GIS was on hand at her birthday celebration, which began with prayer at the La Plain Catholic Church. Today, even at the ripe old age of 100, Ma Sisi, as she is affectionately known, still has all her faculties. According to Ma Sisi's great-grandson, Richard Joseph, her prayerful nature has significantly attributed to her blessing of 100 years.
Ma Sisi has been a cornerstone of the St. Francis Xavier Catholic Church of La Plain. And everybody who knows that, you see her there. So I don't have to repeat what the priest said. She's always at church. Every morning from 5 o'clock, Mama is down there walking out. If she have to go to Roseau, she still goes to church before she goes to Roseau. The bus stays right there for her, so nobody leaves that. And if the bus want to cross Cletos, they will cross Cletos, because Cletos will stay right in front of that thing there.
His Excellency the President, Charles A. Savre, and Mrs. Savre were also in attendance as customary. Dominica's head of state congratulated Ma Sisi for her milestone achievement.
On behalf of the government and people of the Commonwealth of Dominica, and on my own behalf, I wish to extend to you my congratulations and good wishes on the occasion of the celebration of your 100th birthday, which was on the 16th of July, 2014. May the good Lord continue to bless you.
The Honorable Minister for Social Services, Gloria Shillingford, also addressed the ceremony.
This lady is so alert. She's holding conversation with me like any other 17-year or 18-year-old person. And for that, you have to be grateful. She has all her faculties around her. And now somebody crowned her with her very well, because she was dressed all in gold and she wears a silver crown. And indeed, she is a gem of La Plain.
At the reception, Ma Sisi was serenaded with cultural dance performances, which everyone was quite certain she enjoyed. She was also presented with birthday cards and baskets from the Honorable Minister for Social Services, as well as the Dominica Council on Aging and His Excellency the President Charles A. Savre. Ma Sisi is Dominica's 35th centenarian. And that's news. Kerdisha St. Louis is up next with a recap of this week's headline stories.
Hello and welcome to Flashback. During the next 90 seconds, we're going to take you back to some of the main stories which made the news right here at the Government Information Service. The Honorable Prime Minister and Minister for Finance Roosevelt Skerritt presented the $489.9 million 2014-2015 fiscal budget to Parliament on Wednesday. It was the Dominica leader's 11th budget presentation and the last before the next general elections. The 2014-2015 budget also included relief packages for nationals, including the removal of VAT on the service charges at hotels, the removal of import duties on adult and children disposable diapers, the introduction of a cost of living grant for senior citizens, and the reduction of personal income tax. President of Dominica, His Excellency Charles Savre, also addressed Parliament. Stakeholders from around the world converged on the island this week for a two-day consultative workshop to begin the process of validating the need for a Caribbean Center for Renewable Energy and Energy Efficiency. The center will coordinate sustainable energy initiatives for the Caribbean. The West Indies Cricket Board partnered with UNICEF and the Government of Dominica this week to launch a training workshop for cricket coaches dubbed the Fair Play Initiative, Child Protection in Cricket. Tourism Director Colin Piper confirmed this week that the Discover Dominica Authority has partnered with Outpost Magazine, a travel, adventure and culture magazine based in Canada. The objective is to increase visitor arrivals and foreign exchange earnings. Also this week, the British High Commission teamed up with other UK-based organizations to host a Brit Week in Dominica. The objective was to highlight the strength of collaboration between the UK and Dominica. General Manager of the Dominica Water and Sewage Company, Bernard Etinoff, confirmed that construction work on the government-funded $2.5 million water supply project in Grand Savannah will be completed by September this year. And this takes us to the end of this week's Flashback. We now take you back to Colette Ambo.
McPherson St. Luce is next with the Creole highlights.
Allô tout le monde, bienvenue à cette nouvelle en créole. Non, moi, c'est McPherson St. Louis. Premièrement, projet de l'eau pour communauté Guanfon fini. Parole celle-là sortie au Parlement, Honorable Ivor Stevenson.
Le projet Guanfon, c'est un projet que nous devons parler contre autant depuis monter qu'à travailler en section en pays, sur office là. Nous devons parler contre Gloire. Et puis ça nous est actuellement un projet Gloire fini. Et puis nous sommes bien contents de projet ça là. Projet ça là, il fait en intake neuf, il fait en dame neuf, et puis il replace toutes ces vieux pipes là. Ça c'est un projet depuis ça c'est un Gloire depuis 1950 qui choisi. Il mis des pipes hot live pour mener Gloire à Caïmoun actuellement. Ça a changé, pour ce monde pas qu'il y a problème là qui en section village là, il y a un seul monde néglo et puis une autre section pas néglo. Nous qui monde qui taper l'eau qui net, monde qui toujours néglo en pipe yo et puis monde ça fait les autres bagailles pour qui yo ça occuper Tibet, yo ça planter des légumes pour qui yo ça fait la vie au climat. Donc on est content nous vivons ça là projet là. Et puis, mon content, mon enfant content pour être différence nous jamais mis en la vie pour qu'il y ait un système qui est bien bon.
Honorable Stevenson ni bon avis pour résident s'il n'a projet cela.
Ça m'a dit mon enfant, c'est ça. Moi le occupé gloire. Moi le qui yo pas aller à ce système pipe là et puis ouvrir ces pipe là pas bien ba pipe là, pas servir gloire pipe là pour laver transport. Parce nous savons que c'est un qui est bien important. Nous apprécions gloire, nous qui nous servons gloire dans manière pour faire laver nos mers. Et puis mon cas dit, si nous faisons ça, nous pouvons continuer de tourner un bon système pour faire laver nos enfants mer.
Un d'autres nouvelles, même parlement pour Guambé, Honorable Justin Charles, qui a gardé le vent joindre et puis mon communauté cela qui retourne pour réunion. Célébration réunion là commencé vendredi jeudi et puis on grand parade pour ouvrir.
Nous avons gardé pour nous joindre vers ces gens qui ont visité, pour nous garder contre Guambé en général, comment nous comme Guambé, avec comment nous continuer. Il y a qui fait mon petit mettre la peine, parce que réunion qui a tombé, même là, nous n'y pas la main. So ça because nous télémené moun parlement vini mais nous ka garder pour si nous que ça travail ou ça mais si tout le monde passe à venir même si c'est mon qu'on parle rep mon qui assise avec mon diaspora nous un meeting pour nous garder compte où là nous y comme moun gombe avec comment nous ça move forward so nous que ça fait recommandation nous que garder compte ça nous ça fait pour développer place la pli.
En autre nouvelle, même parlement pour Castle Bruce Honorable Johnson Drago qui fait parole qui constituency là en bonne main quand c'est même parlement. Honorable Drago fait parole ça là pendant il supporte estimate budget qui Premier ministre Honorable Roosevelt Skerritt présenté en Parlement. Honorable Drago a un support en plein et spécialement 21,9 millions de dollars pour ministre employment, bagay qui déjà et puis qui continue de bénéficier résidents constituency là. Honorable Drago mentionné moun qui a recevé un salaire hors National Employment Program, 21 business qui pour lancer tout de suite, trainement pour teacher et puis travail en bas programme transportation système l'école. Honorable Drago dit plaisir la vie changer sinon ce programme ça la haute gouvernement. Il dit aussi que budget là qu'a fait d'autres provisions pour développement en Wakase Bros en parmi éducation ou la moun ka étudier l'autre pays et puis avancement pour secteur cela. Plus que $700 000 l'argent nous déjà dépensé à ces réparations caille et puis plein, ça c'est plan bien avancé pour infrastructure pour constituency là, sinon Honorable Drago. Finalement, ça fait qu'à concerner santé, taper attention en policy gender qui est visité. Parole celle-là, sortie au directeur bio-gender, Madame Rosie Brown.
Health and wellness, c'est en différentes manières, mais moi, je préfère qu'on, instead of health, any health en différentes manières, mais nous mettons health and wellness. So, quand situation est actuellement, on peut faire pour ça embrace, pour ça fit into current situation. Quand situation là est à présent, elle va pas trop loin à présent. C'est comme ça, police là est à présent.
Messieurs, mesdames, ça c'est tout pour nouvelles en créole pour à présent. Non moins, c'est McPherson St.Louis. Un bon week-end. Au revoir.
Coming up next, join the campaign to end violence against women and girls.
Did you know the Caribbean Court of Justice is two courts in one? The CCJ has two functions, an original jurisdiction, which deals with your right to move between CARICOM countries freely and your right to move your money and your business. This is the basis of the CARICOM Single Market and Economy, CSME, and the revised Treaty of Chaguaramas, and an appellate jurisdiction to hear appeals from courts of those countries which decide to use it as their final court of appeal and no longer go to the Privy Council. All CARICOM member states who have signed the agreement establishing the CCJ are members of the CCJ.
Observed on the 25th of each month, Orange Day was proclaimed by the Secretary General's Unite campaign in 2012 to focus attention on the struggle to end violence against women and girls. The theme for this month's Orange Day is violence against women and girls in the informal economy. The Unite campaign says that while violence against women occurs in all countries and affects all professions and sectors, women and girls working in the informal economy are particularly at risk from exploitation and abuse. Essential to combating violence against women in this sector is ensuring that women workers are aware of their rights and have the power to assert them. So, let all of us women and you too men lend a hand in educating our fellow sisters and raise awareness on the issue. Wear orange, and through your social media and other networks, say no to violence against women and girls working in the informal economy. And that's all for this edition of National Focus. We always welcome your suggestions and comments. Drop us an email at gis@dominica.gov.dm or visit our website news.gov.dm. Like us on our Facebook page, facebook.com/GIS News Dominica. You can also catch up on past National Focus newscasts on our GIS Dominica YouTube channel. On behalf of the GIS News production team, I'm Colette Ambo. Have a wonderful weekend.